From the current to actually the former ex-well governor of Cross River State, LIYEL Imoke, joins us now as we x-ray the High Court ruling as well as the build-up to the 2023 general elections. Thank you so much for being here tonight on the program with us. And of course, a good place to start is, we've just heard from Governor Ben Ayade there. What is your view of governors decamping from one party to another and taking the votes of the party that got them elected into office? I want to get your view on that. And also, looking at the fact that the Constitution is clear as to the reasons why a governor, that's a sitting governor, can be removed. Yes. And put that aside and add the fact that the Supreme Court had also ruled that, the party actually has the vote of any candidate. How can we resolve this conflict that we're seeing, looking at the law and, of course, all that we're seeing with the camping of governors?
Well, thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure to be back on the Arise station. I think clearly this goes beyond just the law. I think the issue of defection as it relates to our democracy, it's something that we are hoping will ultimately be addressed either by the Constitution or the Supreme Court. Clearly, yes, you are right, there are some gaps. Yeah, but when someone wins an election on the platform of a particular party, he opted to contest that election on that particular platform for an obvious reason, probably to win. Now, going to another party raises a moral question and a question of integrity. And I think those are the issues that really need to be addressed that haven't been addressed in the judgment. The judgment basically was one of stare decisis, which was based on the provisions of the Constitution. But I think this needs to be put to the test, and I believe ultimately the Supreme Court will decide on the matter of defection as it relates to the governors and other defectors. I think it's important that we conclude this matter to strengthen our democracy. It would be unfortunate if we have a continuous undecided matter of this nature going on while our democracy is still at birth. It's something that I believe we should not take for granted. And of course, I don't think that the PDP or any other party for that matter would be satisfied with this particular judgment. I've been informed that the party will appeal the judgment and that ultimately the Supreme Court will decide on whether it is morally right or wrong to defect to another party. It just goes beyond the strict interpretation of the law. I believe that the Constitution may not have anticipated the issue of defection, and that is why it has not been addressed in the Constitution.
Interesting that you say that, because we can also question the morality and integrity of the PDP, who has also benefited from defecting governors. Quick examples are Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State and Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State. But let me ask you, if you take some responsibility for what's playing out in Cross River State at the moment, as regards to your one-time anointed candidate and successor, Governor Ben Ayade, who says the party structures were taken from him and it was only politically wise for him to go elsewhere where he could be in control and impact his people. Do you take some responsibility? Because some political watchers will say you are the person wielding power when it comes to the PDP in Cross River State.
No, I won't quite agree with that. I worked with Governor Ayade for his first term elections. I worked with him to get elected for a second term. Governor Ayade, in all honesty, and I have no political differences until the date of his defection. We did not work at opposites at any point up to the point of his defection. Yes, there were issues in the party with regard to the structure of the party. Those issues had not been decided. The structures had not been taken away from the governor. And I don't believe that, as he said, his reason for the defection was not because he lost control of the party. I think Governor Ayade has been very clear as to the reason he defected. With regard to the issue of defection, I was speaking generally, not as it relates to the APC or PDP governors who may have defected. I think it's an issue that has to be resolved. The sooner the better.
Right. Well, the sooner the better, you say. And speaking about sooner the better, let's talk about the PDP zoning committee, which you are a member of. I know that you represented Cross River State in that meeting. Yes, I do know that you cannot give us the information because the NEC did set up that committee and you have to submit that report. But the question is, has that report now been submitted to NEC? If the answer is yes or no, but when would the NEC be meeting to actually deliberate on the report as submitted by your committee?
I believe the report has not been submitted because NEC has not met. I believe that the chairman of the party and possibly National Working Committee are aware of the report, but NEC has to meet to ratify that report because it was a NEC committee. The zoning committee was set up by NEC. I believe that it is a prerogative of the party and the chairman to convene another NEC meeting. I believe that that will happen in the shortest time so that we can continue to facilitate our move towards completing the processes that will lead to the emergence of both our presidential candidates and other candidates. So I believe NEC will be convened very shortly to address the submission of the zoning committee.
While you are not at liberty to say what the decisions of your committee was, and we do appreciate that, it is understood that your committee has recommended your party jettison zoning. And there are those who have now said that is just playing politics and playing games with the South, because your party has produced a Southwest president, you've produced a South-South president, and it will only be fair and justifiable if you now zone it to the Southeast in particular. What do you say to people like that say the PDP is playing games with the South?
Well, I think that would be inaccurate. The zoning committee, as it were, was focused on keeping the party united, ensuring that through this process we actually come out stronger after our meeting. And I believe that the decision of the zoning committee is geared towards strengthening the party and keeping the party united. The party has clear provisions with regard to zoning and rotation, and those provisions have not been jettisoned, irrespective of whatever the decision of the zoning committee is. So I believe that what we collectively believe has been arrived at by the zoning committee is in the best interest of the party at this particular time.
Well, best interest of the party, that's going by what you're saying as it concerns what the zoning committee eventually would find out officially what you have decided. But I want to ask you, LIYEL Imoke, what is your take on zoning, especially as a leader of the PDP, looking at these times that we're in and the clamor for a Southern president?
Well, I think the issues of zoning and rotation were included in our constitution for a particular reason. Clearly, we must always emphasize justice and equity in all that we do as a nation. And I think to some extent we have some of that in the federal character principle in the Constitution, even though zoning is not provided for in the Constitution. It is an instrument that provides for inclusiveness. And that is why I said it's not jettisoned. The constitution of the party has not been amended, and I believe that zoning and rotation will remain within the PTP constitution and still remains an issue that we will rely on from time to time moving forward. So that is why I believe that zoning and rotation is basically to engender equity, engender collectiveness, and of course everyone can have a sense of belonging. So it's an important issue as far as we're concerned as a party and for Nigeria at this time. But like I said, I'm not at liberty to disclose, unlike you said, we're not at liberty to disclose the provisions or what the decisions of the zoning committee at this time.
Well, your secret is safe with us, I promise you. You could tell us and we'll tell nobody.
I am sure it is. I am very sure it is.
So, former Governor LIYEL Imoke, can I then say, is it correct to say you are an advocate of zoning? I also recall that as a governor in Cross River State, you benefited from zoning in the state as you emerge from the central senatorial district of your state. So it would seem as if you're an advocate for zoning, but from all the indications and body language we have seen in the past couple of days, it looks like your party has thrown it open, because we're seeing sales of forms to aspirants from different regions. Don't you think that your party is at a breaking point at this time?
No, not at all. At every level, parties, people, aspirants pick up tickets and nomination forms. So it's not just at the presidential level. If you go to my state or my local government, you'll find out that there are probably about 10 aspirants from different communities, different wards, who want to run for the office of maybe the State House of Assembly. So irrespective of what may ultimately be the decision of the leaders of the party with regard to zoning, everyone is at liberty to contest the elections. So zoning does not preclude anyone from participating in the electoral process. But zoning basically helps to guide and make sure that if we're using it at the community level or the ward level, every ward gets a fair chance to participate in processes that lead up to the selection of leaders for those communities. And that is, to me, the essence of zoning. It's applicable at every level. It's applicable at the national level and, of course, at the local level. Yes, in Cross River State, we have had a rotation. So we had Governor Donald Duke as the first governor from the south, myself as second governor from the central senatorial district, and Governor Ben Ayade as the third governor from the northern senatorial district. And that has brought peace to Cross River State. It has actually engendered and endeared our party to our people. So it has its benefits, there's no doubt whatsoever about it at that level. In some states, they produce governors without zoning. So irrespective of the provisions of the Constitution. A good example is Governor Imoke and Governor Imoke, okay, who emerged basically from the same senatorial district, irrespective of the provisions of zoning. So zoning basically is something that we can't enforce, okay, in the courts of law, but it's a provision that provides for unity. It unites us. There's a sense of ownership when we allow everyone a chance to participate. And I think the founding fathers of the party had this in mind. If you recall, they came from different backgrounds after military rule to form the PDP. And in understanding the challenges of development of Nigeria, they thought it appropriate to make a provision in our party constitution for rotation and zoning of offices. And I think that has done well for us over the years. It has helped us in the production of the leaders that have been produced by the party today. It has contributed significantly, and it does bring peace, harmony, and ownership and belonging when it's well applied.
Right, and of course that's the reason why we're even seeing the southern governors really bound together, saying the South has to produce the next president. But yes, you say you're not talking to us about that secret of the zoning committee just yet, but we'd have to say thank you so much for joining us, and we'll wait for that report to be out officially, then we can have this conversation again with you. Former Governor of Cross River State, LIYEL Imoke, thank you for being here tonight on the program.